Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
And good morning. What a beautiful day, almost, in Chautauqua County. We're getting torrential rains, but you know, that's going to make the grapes grow all the fresher and sweeter, and the gardens will continue to prosper, and the flowers will bloom on for another few weeks. Welcome to the first day of autumn coming up. I think it's late this afternoon or something that it hits, and it'll be fully here on Sunday. So at any rate, we have a good guest, a person who many of you have met. She was at the parade over in Mayville, Martha Robertson, and she is a candidate for Congress in Chautauqua County and the whole district, which includes more than Chautauqua County, right?
11 counties.
11 counties up here, and it's an important post. Congress, they actually, some people in Congress are allowed to speak after the first year. The Congress is moribund at this point. Nothing's going on there to speak of. They just blocked the Obamacare in the House, which won't go far because the Senate is Democrats, and they like Obamacare because it's providing services for a lot of people that never got services before, and it has certainly tightened up the law about cutting people off who get sick or not taking them on when they're sick, and exorbitant prices and so forth. So I have a feeling that Obamacare will sail one way or another. They've tried 40 some odd times to shut it down. The Republicans have, and they haven't succeeded yet. Okay, so away we go. I won't ask you, Martha Robertson, what your political affiliation is, but I doubt if it's Republican.
Well, Reed, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Well, my pleasure. We'll have you on really for sure very shortly. And your lovely finance director here, Sarah, she's a gorgeous blonde. She's going to take your seat, and you're going to sit out over there.
Okay.
Okay, guys, a lot of things happening in the Congress, like nothing, nothing serious. They're trying to shut it down if we don't get the Obamacare blocked, and the New York State, there's not much going on in New York State either, excepting we're going to have another deficit, needless to say. And the SAFE Act, which has got people up here outraged by the illegal and unconstitutional passage of it in the middle of the night without going through the committees, without public knowledge or input. This takes away almost all the gun rights, makes felons and criminals out of half the gun owners in the state because they have some sort of a stock or whatever that's military or a flash suppressor or something so the animal doesn't know you're shooting at them. Just great. They whipped this through in the middle of the night, and fortunately everybody up here opposes it, but the downstaters have the weight of the votes, so it looks like they're not going to let us repeal it, so we've got to go to court and turn it over as being totally unconstitutional from the state, the way they pass laws, and the federal government, which you can't buy a box of ammunition without a background check now in New York State. A box of ammunition for your shotgun. And as I said, they've illegalized half the guns in the state. They're all illegal now. God help us. Cuomo, you think you're going to run for president? You wouldn't get elected dog catcher in New York State. He did it. It was his law.
I know, absolutely.
Midnight laws. I love it. All right, so at any rate, Chautauqua County's doing well. You know, the farmer markets are still rolling. People think, oh, it's season's over. No, they're still going. Stop by your farmer market. Usually it's on Saturday mornings and afternoons over in your town square. Westfield has one, Dunkirk, Fredonia, everybody has one. Fresh produce grown right here, a lot of it, most of it, and you can get honey. Most of them have honey. I found 3 honey purveyors in Westfield. And you know something? If you have allergies, which I do, up here, get some local honey, because the honeybees put an anti-allergen in their honey, believe it or not. And if you eat the honey, take a spoonful a day, you will have much less effect from your allergies. And some of them just disappear. Try it. Cheap enough. Okay. Now, corn is still good. I had some corn last night, and the corn is still good. Can you believe it? You still get those lovely little niblets of tender, sweet corn instead of the cow corn, which turns into, after a while, you know, those great big yellow kernels, which are not. Did you know you get the silk? The silk is edible, incidentally. You don't have to worry about stripping it all off. It's perfectly edible. It's tender and it's sweet. And each one of those little silks goes to a kernel. Each one. You have at the end, you have it turns black at the end of the cob when you get it fresh. Each one of those millions of little silks go down to a kernel. And if it's fertilized, the kernel grows. If you get some kernels that aren't grown, that means the silk didn't get to them or something, or the honeybee didn't hit them. But isn't that interesting? Corn all over the place. I love corn, and it just breaks my heart when the sweet corn is over. But I have a trick. I eat all I can stuff down my throat all summer. And once it's over, I don't miss it. For a while, anyway. Got a guy coming on a little while, but there's some local news they told me. And let me see what we got here for you. Let's see here. I don't know what's going on here. Somebody mixed all my script up and everything. It's all a mess. Okay. Happy seniors over in Sheridan. What a bunch they are, incidentally, and they are happy. They have a happy senior song. I wish they'd sing it for me. You know, they make dinners and they pass them. They have Meals on Wheels. Yeah, the seniors do over there in Sheridan. August 16th is the next meeting. It'll be a pizza party if you want to drop around and say hello to these people, and you'll have a good time. August 16th, coming right up. Ignore that. They're having a November gala, though, on November 10th, and you can get a reservation in by October 28th, and it'll be great. They have a Descender gala, too, which they have a big dinner and everything, and a lot of fun. They play bingo and dance and fool around. You have a pinochle group, and anybody interested, Mondays, 1 p.m. at the center. Craft committee working on Halloween. Coming up, Halloween, you know, they're going to have Halloween parties all over the place, and most senior groups have a great party. You come in costume, you scare the wits out of everybody in sight. Try to find some kids, you know. They're going to go to Springville Center for the Arts to see a matinee performance of the Drawer Boy, Sunday, October 27th. They'll have a dinner at the Ponderosa. Get a good steak there, guys. Presque Island coming up. Casino trips coming up. Pot lunch Potluck luncheon at October 11th for somebody. United Seniors, okay. If you're taking the defensive driver course, it's a great course. 10% off your insurance, guys. Can't miss it. Coming up at 50-plus seniors. Get in immediately. LK Panther Community Center. Coming up. 50-plus senior programs. You'll have quilting with Florence from 10:30 to 2:30 p.m. in the community room at the Collins Public Library. And Collins is a long ways away, guys, but I had to stick that in. Great Belt seniors, local people, they meet in the Mason Hall in Fredonia. Potluck dinner Thursday at the Lighthouse. You know, the Lighthouse is a beautiful place over there in Fredonia. It has a long history, and they'll give you a huge tour of it for peanuts. I mean, you can just go through there for nothing, just about. Happy birthday to the United Seniors, Herb Centaur and Joan Guzik. And incidentally, the Great Bill Seniors, they're having a potluck Thursday, 29th. Forget that. You know, these guys are so far behind, some of them. Holy mackerel. You know, they're giving me August stuff. I think it's September now, isn't it?
Yeah, last I checked.
Yeah. Oh, I can't do that. August. August is a far cry away. Timmerman's. Last chance to get great corn. Timmerman has a little stand out west on Route 20 of Westfield. You just go out to the outer edge of Westfield and you'll see Timmerman's on your right side of the road. And stop in and get some corn. They have corn. Very inexpensive, delicious, sweetest corn. They tell me my time is up. I'm finished with the news. I got a whole lot more here, but it's not going to get broadcast today. Maybe next week. We'll have it'll be in October when we have the September news. Okay, I got a guy coming up here in a minute or two, and he's going to give you some editorial comments. In the meantime, I have a public service announcement, and this is just for you. Take a look.
I never thought I'd miss you half as much as I do. Love, love. It must be love, love, love. Nothing more, nothing less. Love is the best.
It must be love. It must be hospice.
Hospice. Hospice. This shoots from the hip. Here's Doc. You're on, Doc.
Well, good morning, everybody. As you can see, I'm advertising already the upcoming Rotary Club Gold Rush for the Westfield Mayville Rotary Club. It's going to be October 19th. And if you are interested, start contacting your local Rotarians. I have tickets for you. Chicken and barbecue at Easton Hall. Giving away $1,000 this year again.
And it's cheap, and it's all you can drink, right?
Yeah, it's
You
soft
need a
drinks and
D&D,
beer.
but,
And it's a great time. Well, let me first say good morning to Martha and Sarah. Welcome to the show. Howdy doody, Reed. I wore my end of the summer shirt.
Looks like you got that from a person of Spanish descent.
Hey, I don't talk about your wardrobe. You want to know where this shirt came from for real?
Let me try this. Salvation Army.
No, I got this at the Walmart in Hawaii. I went to the tourist traps and they were like $60 for the same shirt, and I went over to Walmart and it was like $20. I said, I'll take it. I'll buy two. Good morning, everybody. A few quick things I've been sharing with you by way of information, and then I just got a few things I want to talk about. But today's the day, September 20. What is today? The 21st?
Yeah, it's just about
Saturday's.
Yeah.
21st. I lose track here. The Aiden Nichols benefit that we've been talking about for the last few weeks is today in the Gary Volunteer Fire Department from 12 to 6 to help out this little fella. He's got lots of medical issues. So Aiden Nichols, if you are out that way, stop in.
Yeah, and of course we can't forget Damien. Wasn't that a horrible thing?
Yeah.
It's a terrible story.
Yeah. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah,
maybe.
okay.
All right, tomorrow, for those of you that are folk music aficionados or you just like to hear music, over at the Fredonia Opera House. Free concert, 3 o'clock. Yours truly and his partner Bill will be the closing act. I guess they figured they'd get all the good people in there and throw us at the end, and if you don't like us, they can just get up and leave, and they would have missed the rest of the show. No, not really. We're going to be capping the program tomorrow like we did last year. We are so excited. So that's at the Fredonia Opera House, 3 o'clock. It's free. You just got to get a ticket when you walk in the door and so on. All right, already talked about that business. Let's see, what else I got here? This is really cool. You're going to like this, folks. I don't know if this is the first time we've ever done this here at the studio, but we are going to have 2 debates at this point, maybe a third. We haven't finalized the plans for this. But on October 12th at noon to 1:30, we are going to have an open debate here with 2 candidates for county legislature, Ed Karutis and Dave Himmeline. And I will be the moderator. We have this structure just like you'd see on TV. Oh, this is TV. It'll be just like you see it in Washington
on
or wherever.
big TV.
Beat the press. All right. Anyways, or be depressed. And so we're going to have those 2 fellas talking about issues. We're going to have questions for them and so forth. And the following week, on October 19th, mark your calendar, we're going to have the candidates for county executive, which I think is going to be a really important thing to watch because this will give you a really good flavor of where these guys are coming from. But we'll have Ron Johnson and Vince Horrigan, same time, 12 o'clock to 1:30.
And that'll be very interesting because they have exact opposing opinions on the county home.
Absolutely, and we will have a call-in portion of the program that you can ask questions, and Reed will know your voice. Okay. But anyways, I just think that's going to be really a lot of fun, and it's going to be really interesting for all of us here. Okay, you alluded to our fella Damon Janes.
Yeah,
and,
Westfield, Fredonia, Westfield, Brockton kid.
Yeah, wow. I just been watching this, and I'm really moved by the amount of outpouring of support.
It's nationwide, and there's going to be a big deal over at the Nickel Plate in Fredonia.
Right.
I think it's the 29th.
The 29th,
yeah.
The big dinner there.
Big dinner and donations and accepted, and we're trying to help the family as much as we can too.
And so with that in mind, I thought about this. I thought, what does this say to a guy that's a whole lot older than a 16-year-old who loved with passion football? And I thought to myself, Reed, what is it that we have passion about in life? What are the things that move us to keep us doing what we do, and how would we want our last moments to be spent, with the passions that we have in our lives? And I try to think about what would it be for myself, and I guess it would be singing, playing some kind of music, and with my girl.
Well, I'd like to eat strawberries and whipped cream.
Strawberries and whipped cream. You have great passion for strawberries.
You bet.
All right, and if any of us hear anything to do with it, we'll have chocolate-coated leeks for you as well. He's tortured us over the years.
Yeah.
But it's something to think about, This young man has touched all of our lives, but the theme is passion for something that you love. So think about that, folks. What is it that we all have, and that you get up in the morning and it drives what you do? Now, lots of folks are watching this show or say, we're retired and we don't do that anymore. Come on. You got to have something that gets your motor going. I talk a lot about music, but I've talked to musicians over the years. I've been playing guitar for like 46 years. I could play guitar every single day. It's just something that drives you. I know people that love to teach, or art, or music, or being volunteers, or whatever it is, helping people in some way, shape, or form. Let's think about what this young man has done in his short life. He has become a poster person, if you will, for all of us to think about what drives us in life, what's our passion, and let's just do it. Don't talk about it. Back to you, Reed.
There you go. A number of people taking their kids out of football programs. That's one thing that's changed. They say there's 45,000 less football players than there were. In the meantime, it is a dangerous sport, and we cannot forget that, but it rarely does this kind of thing occur. Although I think two people have passed away in New York State in the last year or so.
That's right, yeah.
From football injuries. It does occur.
Oh, we see that in professional sports.
Oh, sure.
But nonetheless, what do we all do for a living, What if you're a logger or a truck driver or whatever,
Right.
If that's your passion,
Yeah, well,
do it.
I was a passionate golf player, and I got hit in the head, and I've never been the same.
Well, there you go, folks. Now, we've all wondered. Blame it on the golf.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Looking forward to the rest of the show here.
Thank
Thanks.
you, John Hamill's doing the job. We have with us a guest, Martha Robertson, and we already have a phone call, Martha. You want to take a phone call here? Let's see.
Sure.
Somebody's going to squawk about something, I know. Here you go, caller, you're on.
Hi, Martha. I was wondering what your thoughts are on why they can't get a budget passed in Washington.
Well, that's a great question to start the morning. I would first let me say I'm delighted to be here. Today's September 21st. Yesterday was the day that the House of Representatives voted to shut down the government, basically.
Tom Reed certainly didn't vote.
Tom,
Did he?
yeah. Oh, he voted. He voted with a majority. I think almost all the Republicans
Yeah,
voted
all the faithful.
to shut down the government by requiring that the Senate and the President defund Obamacare. Now, this is something that we all know. They've voted more than 40 times already. The House has, and Tom Reed has voted 40 times to repeal Obamacare. Now, this is look. There's a lot we have to look at. We have to try this out. We have to fix what's wrong. But Tom Reed would have us go back to the days when the insurance companies called all the shots, and when people could get kicked off their health insurance because they cost too much, when people couldn't get health insurance if they had a pre-existing condition. Reed, let me tell you, my daughter, she's turning 30. My daughter has lupus, and when she finished college, she went off our health insurance, and this is before the Affordable Care Act was passed. She couldn't get health insurance because she had a pre-existing condition. The only place she could get health insurance was Massachusetts because they had Romneycare. So she couldn't come back to New York after college because she wouldn't have been able to get health insurance. We would have had to pay through the nose, which we couldn't afford. So she had to move to Massachusetts in order to get health insurance because she had a pre-existing condition.
Yes, that was the only state in the country, or were there other
At
states?
the time, that was
Yeah.
the only state in the country.
Unbelievable.
And that's why, and in fact, Obamacare is modeled after, Romney's plan.
Who criticized it roundly,
Of
even
course.
though it was the same as his program?
Absolutely. So I don't think we want to go back to those days. Actually, Tom Reed might want to go back to those days. People here in Chautauqua County may not know what his law practice was based on in the city of Corning. He built his fortune collecting medical debt. Now, I will tell you that the biggest source of personal bankruptcy for Americans before the Affordable Care Act, before Obamacare, the biggest source of personal bankruptcy was medical debt. You've got
17 out of 70% of seniors go under because of this.
Absolutely,
Healthcare.
and the thing is, you pay your health insurance, you pay your premiums, but there are co-pays, and say hospitalization, you say we're going to have, you get 80% of this covered. Well, the individual still has to pay 20%. That can be a huge amount of money.
Big bucks.
Big bucks. Tom Reed built his law practice collecting that debt. That's how he's made his money on the misfortune of his constituents.
I'll give you another 5 minutes to denounce everything about Tom Reed you can think of, and then we'll move on, okay?
Oh, I just get 5 minutes, Reed?
You got a phone call. You want to take a phone call?
Absolutely.
Good morning, caller. Well,
Somebody hung up. All right.
sorry about that, caller. Call back. We'll get you on. There you are. Hello.
Hello.
What's up?
Hi, Reed. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate your call.
Thank you. Certainly taxes are a big issue, especially for seniors. There's growing debt in our nation, $17 trillion and growing. And in Tompkins County, they just proposed a budget with a tax increase of 3.5%. And while Martha Robertson has been in the legislature, they have actually over 100% increased their taxes.
Are you in the legislature in Thompson County?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what do you do there?
So my question is, how can we trust that you're not going to raise taxes in Washington if you were becoming our congressperson? And I'll thank you.
Yeah, I didn't get to introduce myself. I'm on the Tompkins County Legislature. I've been on for 12 years. I've been chair for 4 years, elected each of those 4 years with bipartisan support. And that's how we do things in Tompkins County. We have enough Democrats, honestly, on the legislature, where we could push things through just with Democratic support. But we work very hard.
Is that how you got to double your taxes? Is by pushing things through Democratic support?
I think this is one of your opponent's supporters.
Well, I'm trying, if I can answer the question, we work very hard to create bipartisan agreement on things. And most of our budgets, frankly, pass with bipartisan support. Tompkins County, where we have the lowest unemployment in the state, in the last 12 years, while I've been on the legislature, we've had job creation rates 3 times the state average. We also, by the way, have per capita spending by the county, by Tompkins County. Per capita spending is among the lowest. It's 49th out of 57 upstate counties. Now, I think that's a record I can run on. Tom Reed, when he was mayor of Corning, now he only stuck around for 2 years because he was so eager to move up the ladder. He only stuck around for 2 years. He passed 2 budgets. He increased taxes 7.2% in those 2 years. Now, we've got a record. I've got a record that says we're going to carefully spend. We're going to look hard at what our community needs, and as a result, we've had bipartisan budgets pass. And I know how to make hard choices and how to get things done. And when I go to Congress, we won't waste time. We won't waste time putting out proposals that aren't going to pass the other house. We don't waste time making impossible bargains that are just going to shut down the government. So I'm dedicated.
You're going to go along so you're saying you're going to go along to get along, and that's what's caused the problems in Washington. This go along to get along attitude.
Tom Reed is the one who's voting 90% of the time with his leadership. He comes up to the district and tries to pretend he's a moderate, but when he goes to Washington, he votes 90% of the time with his leadership, with the Tea Party leadership. Now, I will tell you that this is, I'm an independent voice. I've got support from all sectors of the community, and that's why he's scared, and he's running scared.
Well, speaking of going along with the leadership, would you vote for Nancy Pelosi as the Speaker if you were elected?
Is this really how it goes? Okay.
No, this guy obviously has a lot to say, and when you finish lambasting her, let me know, will you?
I appreciate you letting me talk, and I appreciate you answering the call.
I'm dedicated to representing the best interests of Western New York, the Southern Tier, and the Finger Lakes.
Is that just what Tom said, incidentally? Almost verbatim.
Well, my measure is what's going to be good for our citizens and our district. I have a record of creating jobs in our county. While I've been on the Industrial Development Agency, we've brought in $453 million of new investments in Tompkins County, 1.5 million square feet of new construction, more than 700 quality permanent jobs, and that's with a record of the non-management wages for those jobs, more than $17.50.
Doing the job. We got 2 more phone calls.
All right, great.
Okay. Thank you, caller. You can call back again, too, if you want to. Good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Yes, I have 2 questions for your guest.
Okay.
I'm concerned about so many illegal guns out there. My first question is, can't we make the SAFE Act a national law to try to stop all of these shootings? And my second question is, what would you really like to accomplish when the Democrats take back the majority in the House? I'll listen on TV.
Okay, one thing I want to interject is the Vice President came out very strongly in favor of more gun controls. There are 35,000 gun control laws now, and it's virtually impossible to get a gun anymore in many places. He had stated publicly on television that new gun control laws, the ones that were proposed by Obama, would make no difference whatsoever in killings, because you get people out there, they're going to kill whether they use a gun or anything they want to use. And it's easy to get a gun. Just steal it. You're on.
I just want to say I'm an independent voice on all issues, and I listen carefully to the pros and cons of all sides. I believe in the Second Amendment. Gun owners absolutely need to know that their property won't be taken away. Your second question was, I'm sorry, what was the second question?
Caller.
What would you most like to accomplish when Democrats take back the majority?
Jobs. The top 3 issues in this race are jobs and jobs and jobs. We have seen this Congress vote more than 40 times to repeal health care reform, but not a single time on a jobs bill. What's going on with that?
Well, you said you had created a huge number of new jobs where you
Absolutely.
were. How did you do that?
Our unemployment rate is the lowest
How
in the
did
state.
you do this?
We've done this by a combination of working across party lines, working with the private sector and the public sector. We have a philosophy called economic gardening. This is a way of nurturing individual entrepreneurs, people who have a strategic reason to be in your community, and helping them to start a new business. If they got a great idea, I mean, often somebody who's laid off, it's a great opportunity for them to take that new idea, that idea that they had that might just be a new business. So small businesses create the most jobs in this country.
So you haven't got a new gym plant or anything moved in? Not that there's about to be one anywhere.
No, there are a lot of ways. You have to have a short-term strategy and a long-term strategy.
Yeah.
I believe in training, workforce training. This Congress has eviscerated funding for community colleges, for workforce training, and people need the options to be able to improve their skills. You know, even if you get out of high school or college, you may not have marketable skills. We need to have the federal support for those kinds of programs.
We got 2 more calls. In the meantime, would you shoot that beautiful blonde over there, Randy? This is your campaign finance assistant finance director, and her name is Sarah. What's your last name, Sarah? Russell, Sarah Russell. And she's sitting in, watching and helping out and taping and everything else. And she doesn't have anything particular to talk about. I gave her a chance, but okay, Sarah. Yeah, let Martha do the talking. Okay, caller, you're on. Another call. Hello there, caller. Are you still alive and well? Evidently not.
Okay. Well, let me talk some more about jobs.
Okay, let's try again. Here we go. Okay. Hello there, caller.
Am I on?
You're on for sure.
I was a little confused. I see the Republicans are jamming up the line.
Well, we got somebody out there with a horsewhip who's working away.
I see that. You know, I find it interesting that the Republicans are bringing up taxes, and my question would be, the Tom Reed has failed to pay his taxes or been late on his taxes 38 different times, and I was wondering what Martha's thoughts are on that, and I'd like to point out that Tom is a member of the Ways and Means, oversees the IRS, and does she think he should step down, being that he can't find it in his budget to pay his own taxes? Oh, he did find it in his budget, but he found it in his campaign budget to pay his own taxes.
Well,
I'll hang up.
Okay, well, being on the Ways and Means is a very powerful committee.
Absolutely.
Everything that happens in the Congress, meaning starting with, of course, the House, has to go through the director, the president, the king of the Ways and Means, the chairman, and we've had 2 Reeds who've been in Congress in this area. You know that?
I didn't. Yes.
We had a Dan Reed many years ago, and I met them both. And Dan Reed was so powerful. He was the head of the Ways and Means, chairman, and he just presses a button and he gets whatever he wants.
Right.
And he stops whatever he wants, and that's why we have the Dan Reed Harbor in Westfield, which is a gorgeous development. Enough said.
Well,
answer that. You can still remember the question.
This question I can remember. I am like I think most New Yorkers, outraged that somebody who's writing our tax laws can't seem to follow them himself. 38 times that we know, 38 times since 2005, while he was mayor of Corning, and since he's been a member of Congress, 38 times late paying his own taxes. Now, that means the rest of us are footing that bill, and it's just not fair. We also see he's admitted to paying at least one of those property tax bills that we know of out of campaign funds. Now,
he admits that was a clerical error.
A clerical error.
They took care of it.
You know, and that's, but it's important that there's now a federal investigation into that.
I got to start defending him. You guys have been beating this poor guy so hard.
I think he's beating himself, honestly. I think most hardworking New Yorkers pay their own bills, pay their bills on time, work very hard to do that.
Don't have
and I do.
funds.
I have just the one house we live in. We've always paid our taxes on time. And I just think it's unacceptable that we have somebody who can't manage his own money. How can we trust Tom Reed with our money if he can't even manage his own?
Okay, now your
if he
time
can't
is-
figure out which checkbook is which, really?
You've used up all your time for bashing Tom Reed. Now,
Oh,
now
no.
you got to say something nice about him. One nice thing, you know.
I'm delighted that he's a swimmer, or was a swimmer, and I think swimming's great exercise, so I wish I had time for it myself.
Okay, we got another couple of calls. You want to take a call or you want to talk? You got something more you
Let's
want to say?
take a call. It's fine.
Good morning, caller. You're on again.
Good morning. I read back in August in the Post-Journal an article about you, Martha, and I hope you don't mind my calling you Martha.
Absolutely.
And it was about NRG and the co-firing of the biomass with coal. And I think that sounds fascinating. Would you talk about that some more?
Well, thank you for the question. It's so important what happened to the NRG plant. And people out here in Chautauqua may not know that we have a similar situation in my county, in the town of Lansing, with Cuga Operating Company. I am fighting very hard to keep both of those plants open. We need to keep the jobs here, the tax base, and make sure that these local energy generators stay open and stay functioning. So I'm firmly behind repowering the plant in Dunkirk, the energy plant, to keep that open. We need that investment. There's another option that might work better in Lansing, though, and I've talked about that, where they actually have space to store biomass. They have facilities where they may be able to use
What's
this.
biomass? You keep saying that.
Biomass could be any kind. Biomass is basically any fuel that comes from organic sources. So in this case, probably waste wood or, but cow manure, corn stover, the stalks that are left over from after you've gotten your sweet corn out there, Reed. There are many different kinds of biomass. They can be, the coal plant could be, and Lansing is interested in doing this. I understand that Dunkirk looked at it and didn't work here, so that's why they need to be repowered with gas. But Lansing is looking at this, where they could leave the coal burners in place, but retrofit one of the burners to feed in biomass. Now what that does is that's a smaller investment overall. You know, when you renovate your house, if you just renovate the bathroom, it doesn't cost as much as if you renovate the whole first floor, right? So if you just retrofit part of that burner to bring in the biomass, it costs less up front. But guess what? It creates 3 times as many jobs as even repowering with gas. It creates jobs in the whole supply chain for wherever that biomass comes from, and keeps that plant running.
But it ain't going to happen here, right? Energy's not going to do that.
Energy has looked at that, and I
This is
understand
Chautauqua
that.
County. In
That's
Lansing, they don't even hear you down there, you know.
Well, I know, but as you said, you're going to be on YouTube, so they're going to watch me
Well, they
starting
can
on
catch it on
Tuesday.
YouTube anyway.
That's right. No, and I propose this as a third way, and it's been a very difficult issue. My belief is the Public Service Commission, the state PSC, has given us kind of a false choice to say it's either repowering or shut the plants down and use transmission.
They dished energy. I mean,
That's right.
They really just.
I think there's a third way, and that's what I'm proposing, to keep the plant in Lansing, keep the plant open with coal and feed in biomass, create 3 times as many jobs, keep that plant working and running, and stimulate the supply chain for biomass. It will help our farmers, it will help people who own their woodlots.
Energy would help the whole county. We're going to go under if we lose the tax base of energy.
Absolutely.
I mean, in Dunkirk, forget it. Dunkirk's shut down. They'll have to put toll booths on both sides to keep people out, you know?
Absolutely.
We got another couple of calls. You want to take a call?
Sure.
Hey there, caller. You're on.
Good morning. Good morning.
What's up?
Besides the fact that we're in the flood zone, it looks like practically out here. There's a big river running by my house.
Yeah, it seems to be raining.
quite well. I do have a question for you, for your guest rather.
We assumed that.
What is her opinion? How would she vote if it came up for a vote on the fact that something needs to be done about the COLA for senior citizens, which does not even in its best times, really keep up, because in that cola there's the price of yachts and things like
I always
that.
have a can of cat food here. You know
Yes,
why?
yes, sir.
Because during the Depression, that's what seniors had to eat. And more seniors, because they're not giving them a fair cola, the
That's right.
Congress, they're getting 50% of what they got just 10 years ago.
That's right.
And so
that
they
can
have
of
got
cat
food for food.
That kind of cat food is why we have Social Security and Medicare now. People forget that seniors used to be in desperate poverty, and that's why we created these programs. And seniors have paid into Medicare and Social Security all their lives. This is not some kind
And
of
the
handout.
government is saying this is a benefit.
This is-
Hardly. You pay
This
for
is
it.
the money you put in. So we absolutely need to protect Social Security and Medicare, and I will fight to do that. The Paul Ryan budget that Congressman Reed has voted for numerous times would absolutely cut Social Security, would turn Medicare into a voucher program, so you'd have to pay out of your pocket, and that's not
Well,
right. So I
Medicare-
believe that, and unfortunately, the president has proposed something called chained CPI. Technical term, but basically what that means is your benefit's going to be less.
Another way of reducing your Social Security, which
reduce
is
your-
already, you know, Martha, 10 years ago you got $1 worth. Because of the failure of the Congress to grant a fair COLA for the real inflation
Absolutely.
they created, seniors are now getting 47 cents on the
Right.
dollar from their Social Security.
And I oppose
and
that.
wondering how come when you go to the grocery store and you pay all your bills, because of course you still get all your electric and all that kind of bills that you have to have.
Right.
Well, that you
And
have.
you know, we have to cut the deficit. We absolutely have to cut the national debt, and that's starting to happen because our economy is coming back. But we cannot do it on the backs of seniors. We can't do it on the backs of our children. We can't do it on the backs of college students. My choices would be that, you know what, the wealthiest corporations in the world, the oil and gas industry, they might be able to give up their tax subsidies. I think it's
Can I add something to that?
If I can finish, if it's time for the oil and gas industry, for example, to start paying taxes like the rest of us, and I would vote to close those loopholes.
Go ahead,
Do
Con.
you know that that Exxon is the largest company in the world now?
Right.
Makes more money.
Yep.
Do you know that our country, the United States of America, is subsidizing them for the privilege of selling us their exorbitantly priced oil? We
Absolutely.
give them money. Are we crazy? What is wrong with that?
Absolutely. I could not agree more.
I can
and-
tell you, Martha, you don't have to say another word. The rich and powerful have taken over the Congress and everything
Yes.
else, the large
That's right.
corporations, and they're going to
Absolutely.
squeeze us dry.
That's the
Absolutely.
only way that could have gotten through, is if either it was put in years and years ago when maybe they didn't make as much money, which had to have been long before I was born,
Right.
or somebody's got their hand in somebody's back pocket, and I choose to believe it's probably the second choice.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more. It's time to end the welfare for corporations and time to take care of our roads and bridges, time to rebuild our infrastructure, our water and sewer systems, time to put
Feed
money...
our poor, not tell them they don't need to eat.
Absolutely. I mean, just 2 days ago, Tom Reed voted with the Republican Party to cut $40 billion out of food stamps. Now, that's our veterans, that's our senior citizens, that's children. So people are, millions of New Yorkers are going to be cut out of their food stamps. You know, if you walk downtown today, or go to the Grape Festival later, 1 in 7 New Yorkers is on food stamps. So look around those crowds.
And if you look at the
choose-
seniors,
one
one in about 4 seniors are on it.
That's
And
right,
One of
absolutely.
the politicians, I don't remember which one, or I mentioned his name because he deserves credit for this, decided to try for a week to go, I think it was a politician, either that or it was a rich man, one of the two, decided to go for a week using the $4.53, I believe it is, that you would get as food stamps for if you divided it up monthly.
Right.
It would come to $4.53 a day, and he tried to live on that. He got very hungry.
Right.
He felt faint. He just, it was not
He
enough
lost
money
weight.
to feed him.
You know, the food stamp program was started by Bob Dole and Jimmy Carter. And the story goes, and this is what I just heard recently, that there's a little boy in school, and Jimmy Carter heard this story, so he went to Bob Dole. This little boy fainted in school, and teacher went to him and said, after they revived him, went to him, what's the matter? What's going on? He said, the boy said, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten today. This is the richest country in the world. This was a program that Bob Dole, leader of the Republican Party, and Jimmy Carter together created. This is what the Republican Party used to be.
Absolutely.
Now this Republican Party, I'm sorry to say, has gone so far to the right, and Tom Reed is leading the charge to the right.
It's called the Tea Party.
The
Tea Party has taken over what used to be the moderate conservative Republican Party.
And it's not the Christian way to be either.
Absolutely not. Christ mentions at least 5 times your duty, not duty. You should be paying or making sure the poor have food. You're not going to get to heaven if you don't feed the poor. At least 5 times he mentions it.
Listen, the other thing, farmers are also very upset about this. The Farm Bill, which also they haven't passed in Congress, they haven't passed the immigration bill, they haven't passed the Farm Bill, they haven't passed the budget.
They're the most do-nothing Congress we've ever had.
This is the least functional Congress in modern history. They have a to-don't list, not a to-do list. Well, the Farm Bill used to, traditionally always included subsidies to farmers and food stamps together. The farmers understand that they need a market for their goods, and they care about who gets to eat fresh food. And farmers I've talked to in our district, for example, a number of them...
You're talking about the small farmers, though, but unfortunately a lot of our farmers are no longer small farmers, they're corporate farmers.
Right, but we do have a resurgence in our district in small farmers.
We need it.
We need to do that. And I know a couple of them who've worked very hard to help you mentioned farmers markets before, Reed, to help the farmers markets to be able to accept food stamps. And it's called SNAPs, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, but we know of it as food stamps. It's very important for our local farmers to be able to accept those food stamps. Well, if people don't have that resource, what are they going to do? Now, I know that the bill that Reed voted for, along with his Tea Party colleagues, included a work requirement. Well, guess what? The bill that was in existence already had a work requirement.
And anyway, you get a woman with 3 little kids. It costs you so much to take care of those kids while they go out and earn $7 an hour. Forget it.
Exactly, and they've cut money for child care subsidies. And by the way, people can't get a job. So
exactly, it's limited right now.
And the other irony, the other cruelty, the Reed bill cut training money. So you can't get child care, you can't get training money, but you're supposed to go get a job. And by the way, you and your kids are having to cut 24 meals out of a month. So like almost every day, you're down to 2 meals a day.
Tom Reed, I hope you're listening. You've got to come on soon.
Shame on the Republicans. Shame on Tom Reed.
Okay. Thank you, caller, for your input, and send me an envelope. I'll send you a nice can of cat food, which seniors will be enjoying when they're living in their children's cellars, having lost their homes. That's what's going on right now, folks.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Martha, you wanted to say something?
Sure. I want to give people just a little bit of background on who I am.
Yeah, first of all, we never got... Where do you live?
I live in the town of Dryden. It's in Tompkins County.
And where were you raised, born?
I was raised in Baltimore. My parents had a small business. They had a nursery. It was called Liberty Nursery, and the house was right next to the shop. It was right there. So we were open 24/7 when anybody came in. In fact, I remember Christmas Eve, about midnight one night, we sold Christmas trees. A veteran came, and somebody on active service came in midnight Christmas Eve. We had 1 Christmas tree left. Dad gave it to him.
Well,
the guy was on his way home.
Who's going to sell one at midnight? I used to sell them. I know.
So that was how I grew up. That's where I learned about hard work.
Where did you go to school?
I got a scholarship to Cornell. Love this region so much.
Wonderful place. I used to go to a little park nearby there, Taganek Park, which is just gorgeous.
Yes.
Lovely country. And then you do postgraduate work of some kind?
No.
You look like you must have had a doctorate or something,
Oh, well, thank you so much. But no, I just my bachelor's. Although I did get a teaching certificate. I started out my career.
Did you teach?
I was a kindergarten teacher, that's right.
How long did you teach?
I taught for 5 years. I taught in daycare, and then talk about not being able to make enough money. My first child was born, and if I have 2 kids, if I had put my son in daycare so I could teach in daycare, I would have probably been
broke even if you're
net,
lucky.
you know, I would have lost money. So, so I stayed home. I was a stay-at-home mom for about 5 years, and I got involved in children's and science museums. One of the was a lot of fun, helping to develop exhibits.
I taught for 18 years. And
Is that
then
right?
I was in a junior high shortly. You know, most male teachers, they're lion tamers. They put them in the junior high, and you stay there and you become crazy, just like all the other kids, because they're all temporarily insane at that point. You know,
That's right.
And either you stay there and you can become nuts, or you get out. And I got out, although some of my friends say I didn't quite make it in time. We got another couple of callers. Do you want to try?
Well, let me just to finish.
Okay.
I mean,
Caller, hold on. She's never had a chance to get in a word edgewise because I do all the talking.
So education is in my DNA, and small business. As I said, I grew up in a small business. So I had. You know, I developed a business of my own in this exhibit design business, and did that for a number of years. Then got into community fundraising and got elected to the Tompkins County Legislature. I beat an incumbent. I was the first Democrat and the first woman in that district to represent those folks. That was 12 years ago. And I am
You've been suffering ever since.
No, I've been really enjoying it. And by the way, local government is so important, and anybody who's listening here, make sure you pay attention to your local races. Make sure you vote.
You bet.
It is absolutely vital.
Our local county exec threw in the towel. He's not running. He said, "I've had enough of this." Caller, you're on.
Good morning, Reed.
Good morning.
My question specifically is about education at the federal level.
Go ahead, madam.
I was wondering specifically about, I know right now the states take care of most of the curriculum that students get. Do you support the federal government taking that over to standardize, or do you support the states keeping that?
Well, it's interesting. The core curriculum is brand new, and teachers are really having to deal with so much. You know what? I support respecting teachers. My brother is a 3rd grade teacher. Every time we get on the phone, I say, "How are you?" He starts a half an hour about how assaulted he feels as a public school teacher, that everybody blames things on the public school teachers. And here's a new curriculum.
Incidentally, he's caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, because he's got to worry about the administration and the parents, and it's just a situation. And then the new curriculums, which are the same old stuff but a new wrinkle on it. Right. So no parent knows what they're doing, and they can't help out, and it's outrageous.
It is, and I think testing is not the way to teach kids.
Right.
You know, if you've ever tried to lose weight, I have a number of times in my life, you don't lose weight by standing on the scale. I'm sorry, just measuring something is not a way to make it happen. We need to respect teachers. We need to fund our schools adequately, and that's a federal issue and a state issue. Now, we haven't talked about the sequester very much, or at all this morning. The sequester, which is going on right now.
What's the sequester?
Well, the last time we had the debt ceiling crisis in July 2011.
Meaning Congress wouldn't
borrow
more money.
Congress wouldn't let the government borrow enough money to pay its own bills. Now, what does Tom Reed and this Congress have in common?
Tom Reed, watch out, here it comes.
They seem to have trouble paying their own bills. So raising the debt limit is only about paying the bills that you've already incurred, that you've already voted on, that you've already made. Now, last time this happened, July 2011, they put something in place called the sequester, and everybody agreed it was so crazy that Congress would never allow that to happen. Well, guess what? They did. It went through.
You mean it's in now?
It's in now. It's across the board cuts.
Which means there's no money for anything, right?
That's right. Well, it means that everything has been cut across the board. Instead of taking a strategic look, instead of looking at protecting our investments and maybe cutting harder on the things that are more discretionary. So we've seen military readiness cut. We've seen food stamps cut. We've seen aid to special programs for seniors. We've seen education cut terribly.
All under the bus.
Veterans benefits, all under the bus. We're starting our 12th budget since I've been in the Tompkins County Legislature. We know how to make tough choices. You can't just cut across the board. It's the frankly, stupid way to do it. Because not every dollar is as necessary. You know, some things are absolutely vital, and other things you might be able to put off. So that's why we've have bipartisan budgets since I've been on the legislature. And I will tell you, the sequester is doing great damage right now to veterans, to seniors, to our children, to research. Now, I don't think about this a lot, but I've talked to farmers and to business, you know, high-tech business developer in our county recently. He said, they've all said, research is critical, and the fact that the federal research programs are being slashed means that we won't have the next new idea. We won't have the new businesses, the new programs and products that...
Yeah, Chinese will get them all.
Chinese will get them all. We won't. This is our bread and butter. This is how we have to have the next new thing so that we can move ahead and compete globally. You know, if we want to create jobs in New York, if we want to create jobs in this country, we have to be at the front of the pack. We have to be developing cutting-edge technology and new ideas. The federal government's role is vital in funding that kind of research. In healthcare, I heard recently that physicians saying that the cuts in National Institutes of Health, the cuts in that funding are setting back our healthcare a generation, because we're not funding cancer research. We're not funding research into diabetes and other diseases that we depend on.
Stem cell research, which is outrageous that they're just throwing it away.
That's right.
So, this is one of the greatest movements in the community of health service in the world history.
That's right.
And we're not doing anything.
And we talked before about tax breaks for the wealthiest corporations. These are choices that we need to make. Now, Tom Reed's choice is to preserve the tax breaks for Exxon.
Get ready for this, Tom.
Preserve the tax breaks for Exxon. Preserve that mortgage interest deduction for your vacation home, but we're going to cut food stamps. I think that's the wrong choice.
That's the wrong choice, no question about it. Vacation homes are something that the average cat doesn't have. Martha, we're kind of running down on time, and I want to give you the last minute just to close up, okay?
Thank you.
I won't interrupt you. Time is up. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, thank you again, Reed, for letting me be on, and I'm delighted to be here. I'm delighted to be in this race to raise the important issues that are vital to upstate New Yorkers, to Western New Yorkers, and across the state. I've built a record of bipartisanship, a record of getting things done, listening to all sides, and finding common sense solutions. I have a long history in this region, and I'm delighted to be out. We've been very successful so far with raising money. For example, our first quarter we had our own goal to raise $200,000 in 3 months. We raised $278,000, and that was the vast majority from within this district.
You've been
and
doing
that's
Martha, we just got this. We're out of here.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Martha Robertson, candidate for Congress, doing the job and giving us some great input and performance hopefuls in terms of our Congress. And I hope, Martha, will you come back sometime?
Absolutely.
If you win, will you come back? You know, as soon as you win, you never come back.
Not me, I'll be back.
Okay, great. Martha, thanks again for joining us, and I want to thank you all and everybody who's listening in and who's calling. And last caller, I'm sorry, 2 callers, we didn't get you in, but Martha swears she'll be back, so we'll have a chance for it. I want to thank some special people: Chuck Kelsey, Devin Taylor, Chris Burt, Randy Burt, Chris Ramaker, Jeff Zook, Don Zenz, and John Hamels. Doc, get out there and have a beautiful day. Even though it's raining, you can still, the afternoon is going to clear up and you can still get out and there may be some sunshine. May all that is proud and true and noble abide with you. I'm Reed Powers.